Hello everyone, very warm welcome and good afternoon to all of you. Welcome back once again to StudyIQ IAS English. My name is Praveen Mishra, and as decided and as promised that we shall be coming with you for you with regard to the subject Indian polity, including the static as well as the current affairs portion for our prelims that is approaching quite soon, right? So starting the whole scenario, this will be the first marathon for us with regard to the subject of polity, and we shall be also having some other subjects with us as well. So going ahead with the subject, starting with the very base, the very background, okay, that is the constitution, the making of the constitution, the backdrop, the history and everything, right? So what is the very first thing that we need to discuss? Obviously, the subject of polity, we know it very well. We are going to study about the constitution, the governance pattern of the country and so on. But what's the logic here? From where did the constitution came into being? What were the particular events that led to the formation or the creation of the Indian constitution? So before we enter into the mainstream things of the constitution, we just need to discuss some of the key events. And here, one such event that we must start is the cabinet mission. With regard to the recent trends of the UPSC CSE, specifically prelims, what we have witnessed, that they have tried their best to ask those questions which are not in much of the trend, as in those particular topics or chapters which generally we don't find in our books, the general conventional books that we do have. Like for example, for polity, the biggest content what we have got is, yes, obviously, it's M. Lakshmikant, right? So no doubt, it's a very awesome book. I'm not saying that book is not good. The book is very awesome. We do have read it. You have read it. I have read it. We all have read it, right? So, but there are few things that are not there, or even if there is, okay, the mentioning of these chapters, so it is not mentioned in a very in-depth manner or in a very detailed manner. Just a particular reference might be there. So now what UPSC is doing? UPSC is asking questions from those particular topics only that are not particularly, defined or having a detailed explanation in such conventional books. And hence, the aspirants, they do face at most amount of difficulties that, man, I have read this, but I have no such in-depth information over this as well. So for that sake, we have come to the rescue, and we will be discussing firstly all of those points that are recently in trend and for which we do not have a concrete reading material or a source as well. So the first thing that is we have got here is the cabinet mission plan. What is this cabinet mission? What are the backdrops and so on? Let's discuss that. Okay. So starting with the first thing. On 16th May 1946, after extensive consultations with the Indian political leaders, the cabinet mission proposed a detailed plan with the following key provisions. Now, the thing, how do I define this word cabinet mission? Going ahead with the history. When British, they came to India, not just the British, all of these European powers when they came to India. So at that time, during the time period of 16th centuries and so on, there were n number of kingdoms, empires or sultanates that were prevailing inside India. From, the Mughal Empire to Marathas, from Nawabs to Nizam to Rajput to Sikhs, we have got n number of empires, right? But slowly and steadily, the British as well as some others, Europeans, they started interfering into the local politics, grabbed the command of the politics as well as the economics. Ultimately, they vanished or they actually threw the existing empires. So we have seen that the revolt of 1857 happened, okay, and after that 1858, Queen Victoria's proclamation, where it was declared that India is now officially part of the British territory and the British Parliament will take over all the legislative as well as the administrative functions of the country of India, right? And in the next 100 years, that is starting from 1857 onwards, they have absolutely vanished all the bigger and smaller kingdoms that were prevalent inside India. Even the kings, they were there, but the kings, they do not have now their kingdoms, right? Though the kings, they were there, the queens, they were there, but their throne, the crown was taken away and was settled into the hands of the British Parliament only. So it was the time period now, the 1940s, when the Indian independence movement got good boost with the prevalence of some great leaders as well as the incidences termed as the Quit India movement or the start of the Second Great War, that is the World War. Now, the British, they were weakened a lot as compared to their previous authority they had in the previous decades. Now, this is the time period, 1940s, when because of many incidences from World War to others, British, they have lost utmost amount of their men and material, including the money, because of which they were also troubled in handling their overseas territories. And another boost was India's leadership or the India's movement, specifically speaking, yes, the Quit India movement. Apart from that, the prevalence of the greater political parties like the Congress as well as the Muslim League. Now, the British, they were in absolute trouble to handle the Indians as well as the Indian politics. So now it was a time period when they decided to bid adieu to the Indian territory. Now, the problem was, okay, India will gain independence. India will now remain an independent state, a sovereign state. But the problem was, who will be ruling India? As now there is no such sultanate available. A pan-India sultanate at least is not available, right? So who is going to take charge of such things? So now it was the Muslim League as well as the Congress, those who decided that will make India a democratic socialist state. Right, a democratic sovereign state. Democracy as in there will be a proper government, and a democratic government's basic theme comes from the word constitution. So independence will come along with the constitution, and for which a constituent assembly was needed. And for that constituent assembly, we needed a particular support which came in the name of cabinet mission. So we can just go ahead and understand it in a way that is the Constituent Assembly. Okay, like independence, it came from the era of 1947. Okay, and independence gave us democracy. Democracy needed constitution. Constitution needed Constituent Assembly, and this Constituent Assembly needed the cabinet mission basically. Okay. So what is the basic feature we need to understand? So you can just start and mark up the things like this, okay? That the circle, okay, or the chronology basically, okay? How does this chronology or the circle goes ahead, okay? So with regard to democracy, we talk about just the word democracy. Democracy needs what? Democracy needs not just democracy, any government or any form of the political government, okay? It needs the very same thing, that is constitution, okay? Who will create the constitution? Constitution will be created by the Constituent Assembly. And this Constituent Assembly shall be created by the cabinet mission. Okay. When did this cabinet mission arrived in India? This cabinet mission arrived in India in 1946, and with the arrival, okay, the new thing started, okay, that is what? The establishment of the Constituent Assembly that shall create the constitution for independent democratic India. Okay, so basically if you need to answer what is cabinet mission all about, so cabinet mission is all about the establishment of the Constituent Assembly that shall make the constitution. Cabinet mission is not going to make the constitution. Cabinet mission is going to make the Constituent Assembly, and this Constituent Assembly shall make the constitution, okay, and then convert India into the democratic, sovereign, secular, socialist republic and so on, right? So here we go. We talk about the further of the elements or the aspects. So India to remain a united union, okay, this is what the feature is, and the mission categorically rejected the demand for Pakistan. Remember this thing, guys. Cabinet mission rejected the demand for Pakistan. It was like, no, 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 we are not going to have this two-nation theory. It was later on, the arrival of Lord Mountbatten with his so-called two-nation theory, that Pakistan came into being. But cabinet mission directly, straightforward, with the absolute clear-cut answer said, no, there would be no such thing known as Pakistan, right? So they rejected the demand for Pakistan, terming it absolutely impractical. And instead, it recommended that India remain a united union. Further, provincial grouping was given. Okay, it stated that, okay, there are contentions or issues between the communities or maybe the political ideologies, so no problem, we shall be going ahead with the grouping of the states. Okay, so here we go. What were the groups? So basically, they divided the Indian provinces into three distinct groups: Group A, B, and C. What is Group A all about? Group A would be having the provinces of Madras, Bombay, Central Provinces, and United Provinces. Central Provinces and United Provinces, as in like the areas related to the Madhya Pradesh as well as Uttar Pradesh. Okay, then Bihar and Odisha, which is absolutely Hindu majority at the time. Next, Group B, it shall be having Punjab, Northwest Frontier Provinces, that is the areas of Rajasthan, Sindh and Balochistan, which is properly Muslim majority provinces. Okay, and Group C, it shall be having Bengal and Assam, once again Muslim majority provinces. Okay, so guys, the features. How many particular categories the cabinet mission proposed? First and foremost, did this cabinet mission accepted the demand for Pakistan? No, never. Right. Secondly, they said, yes, there are some issues or contentions or the tussle between the communities or specifically related to the political ideologies. So for that sake, no problem, we shall be creating some three groups. A grouping of the states could be done, and for that sake, three groups. Group A, B, and C, they were created. Group A, that shall be comprising of the Hindu majority states or the provinces. Group B and C on the other side, that will be the Muslim majority. Right. So Group A, it comprised of how many? So as you can see, Madras, Bombay, MP, UP, that is United Provinces, then, okay, Bihar and Odisha. So we had got totally 5 of them. Okay, Group B, we had got how many? Punjab, Northwest, okay, Sindh and Balochistan, Muslim majority. Then Group C, Bengal and Assam, once again Muslim majority. Okay, so these were the provinces that are related to, or sorry, the groups that are related to the provinces. Okay, now next, the autonomy for the provinces. Were provinces given any sort of autonomy according to the cabinet mission plan and so on? So let's see. So as we can see here, provinces were granted full autonomy in all the subjects except defense, foreign affairs and communications. Remember, provinces, they were to be granted full autonomy except 3 things. What are the 3 things? Okay, it used to be the defense, the external affairs or the foreign affairs, as well as the communication system. These are the 3 things that shall be handled with the union only. Rest, all the other things for which provinces, they do had the absolute autonomy. Okay, next, the residual powers, they were vested in the provinces. As presently, when we talk about the Schedule 7, okay, what is the difference between the cabinet mission plan, okay, and presently the quasi-federal structure of the nation or the federal structure of this nation? How are we differentiating it? Okay, see, according to cabinet mission, okay, according to just the cabinet mission, they provided all the residuary powers, okay, all the residuary powers to whom? To provinces. But according to the Indian scheme of federalism, okay, when we talk about the Indian scheme of federalism, that is mentioned in Schedule 7 under Article 246. Okay, what is this? We have got 3 lists, okay, the union list, the state list and the concurrent list. But we have got a distinct list as well, a separate list as well, which is not mentioned here. It is known as what? The residuary. That is all of those things which are nowhere mentioned. Okay, it is to be referred into the residuary list. Okay, which are mentioned nowhere, literally nowhere. Okay, so these are to be kept where? These are to be kept in the residuary. So, according to the cabinet mission, it was with the provinces, but according to the Indian scheme, it is with the union. So, this is the first line of difference between the cabinet mission scheme of federalism and the Indian scheme of federalism. Okay, the basic difference. Now, next, the Constituent Assembly. What were the features? A Constituent Assembly was to be formed with indirectly elected representatives. Okay, according to the cabinet mission, indirectly elected representatives. So provincial legislature would elect these members using proportional representation, and princes from native states would nominate their representatives. Each member would represent 1 million people. Okay, what was the proportion? Each representation, each representative shall represent how many? 1 million people. Okay, next, separate constitutions for groups. Type of that communal award thing we had in 1932, which was initiated by the then British Parliament, by the then British Prime Minister Ramsay MacDonald. Okay, so something related to the very same scheme was represented here. That is, the provinces in each group were allowed to draft their separate constitutions. However, after the first general elections, any province could choose to exit the group or reconsider the union constitution after 10 years. Okay, so what was actually provided according to the Constituent Assembly plan? That go ahead and draft your own constitution according to your own needs. Okay, according to your own community needs or the geographical needs and so on. And in case you feel that no, I must join the very same constitution that is created by the union, then also no problem. After 10 years, after the 10 years of the very constitution, you can just discontinue with the same and join the union constitution. Okay, but yes, the time gap was 10 years. Further, Federation of India, what they stated for this? A unified federation, that is including princely states, was proposed to ensure collective governance. And the last thing, that is interim government. Until the new constitution was finalized, an interim national government composing Indian leaders from various political parties was proposed. All members except the Governor General would be Indian. Okay, see how divisive and how what we can simply state baseless things Constituent Assembly provided. Were they not trying still their best to go ahead with the divide and rule policy? Was it not simply the very same? As in, they said that okay, the good thing was that they ignored or they literally denied the existence of any second independent state out of India, that is called Pakistan. So the only good thing Constituent Assembly at the time did. But the second features, what Constituent Assembly did, okay, we can understand here. Features of the cabinet mission. So first one, yes, absolutely denial to the creation of an independent state out of India, that is Pakistan. Okay. Second, providing a scheme of independent constitutions. Independent constitutions to provinces. Okay. Then, representation They said according to the proportion of the population, but what they defined representation as one representative per a million, that is 10 lakh population. Okay, unfair. Dividing the states, dividing the provinces, okay, having the groups, group A, B and C was also unfair, whereas they said group A states to be Hindu majority, B and C to be Muslim majority. Okay, the best representation of divide and rule. Cabinet mission plan. You know, this is not something very new to us as well. 3 persons were there in the cabinet mission, and one person's name was, I don't know how it is, sir, but yeah, Sir Stafford Cripps, right? The very same Stafford Cripps, yes, if you're connecting it with the Cripps mission of 1942, you're right. The Cripps mission that came to India in the year 1942, right? For the sake of what? For the sake of providing a dominion status to India, going ahead with negotiations with the Indian political parties from Congress to Muslim League, and what they promised, that stay silent till the World War is going on, support British into the World War, the Second World War basically, and once the World War has ended, we, that is British, they stated, we shall provide you with the dominion status, right? And it was led by Sir Stafford Cripps, that is basically termed as or named as what? The Cripps mission, right? For which Indians said, get lost, buddy, we don't need you here, right? No, tata, bye-bye. So, post-World War, post-Second World War, when the British, they realized now it's not safe for them, or not even suitable or feasible for them to stay in India, as the Indians now, they are not going to admit any so-called Firangi, okay, or a foreign ruler, right? So for that, they became once again very aggressive, and the cabinet mission plan was nothing but just another attempt by the so-called British Crown to go ahead and divide the country of India, so that in the near future they could even come back, okay, and take the control of the politics as well economics once again. Because if so, it happens. Let's say they have gone ahead with the tagging or the segregation of the states, then for sure tomorrow or maybe soon they might have this particular calculation with them, that it would be again a particular situation of tumult or turmoil, okay, and we shall be taking benefit from that particular turmoil, okay. So for that, this cabinet mission plan just came to India, okay, with at most amount of nonsense provisions, absolutely nonsense provisions, right? And specifically the another feature, absolute autonomy. Absolute autonomy to whom? To states, as in provinces. The provinces, they were allowed to create their own constitution. In case they do not like, then 10 years later, in case provinces want, then can accept the union constitution, but only after 10 years. Why not before that in case they want? Okay, then absolute autonomy. To provinces. And last, only the subjects like communication, defense, and foreign affairs will be handled by union. Rest, nothing States or the provinces, they were having what? Absolute autonomy. So, with all of the particular features, just now tell me, guys. Yes. Hello, Ram Kumar. Hello, good noon, Arun, and all of you, those who are listening me live. Please tell me how good scheme this was when they were claiming that India should be a united country, right? Are these the features of the united country? Come on, guys, quickly answer me. According to your understanding, quickly. Come on. Is it the features of the united country? Okay, this one and this one. Are they anywhere referring to the features of the union? Come on, quickly, go ahead. Try to answer. Go on, guys. No? No one will answer? Okay, no problem. So let me answer it here. Okay. Absolutely, it is nowhere. Okay, it is nowhere the features of a united country. It is what? Simply the most nonsense behavior, okay, of creating a country that is called united, but it will be never united. Okay. So, exactly. Did we accept these features in our Constituent Assembly? We said, no, come on, we are not going to have this thing. It will be just, another attempt to disturb the inner peace of the people of India. Okay, so we denied it. Okay, we said, okay, your communal award system failed. And now you are going to have another award that will be dividing provinces on the grounds of community. We denied it. Okay. So the cabinet mission plan sent by the British in India in 1946, it had 3 members. Okay. Who were the 3 members? It was led by the then Secretary of State for India. Okay. His name was Alexander Patrick. Okay. So as you can see, Alexander Patrick Lawrence. Next, it was Stafford Cripps, President of the Board, and A.V. Alexander, First Lord of Admiralty. Okay, so 3 names we have got. Okay, Patrick Lawrence, or also termed as some historians have mentioned, this Alexander Patrick Lawrence. Then Stafford Cripps, and yeah, last one, A.V. Alexander. Right, so 3 people, 1, 2, and 3. Right, so the first one that led the board, the member or the mission, that was also the Secretary of State for India at that time, the then. Right, so the second name here, what is? Stafford Cripps. It's the same Stafford Cripps who came to India through the cabinet mission plan. Okay, now what led to the disturbance? What led to the particular problem? From where did the demand for Pakistan got accepted? So, it has 2 distinct events. One event is there in front of your screen. The DAD, D-A-D, Direct Action Day, 1946, initiated by a person who was named as Muhammad Ali Jinnah, right? And the another was the hostile mindset or the divisive policy of the British, which was represented through the last viceroy of the British India, that is Lord Mountbatten. Okay, so Lord Mountbatten, he was sent to India with just one particular plan or aim, that is go ahead and divide them at the earliest possible time. As when the British, they realized, the British government, the British Crown actually, when they realized that no, our cabinet mission proposals, they are not going to be accepted by the Congress, neither the Muslim League. And then came into India the last viceroy or the Governor General of the British India, Lord Mountbatten, with the 2-nation theory. He said, okay, since Hindus and Muslims doesn't seem fit to be living together under one roof, and hence it shall be good for both of them to be living separately in separate nations. This is what the person Mountbatten has stated. Since it seems difficult for Hindus and Muslims to live under one roof, they don't seem fit to live under one roof, and now it is time for them to divide themselves. Okay, go ahead and have the different territories, one dominated by the Muslims, other dominated by the Hindus. And you know what? Who were the deciding authorities for this? Were it the Congress? Was it the Congress or the Muslim League, or basically the representatives from the Muslims in India, or the Hindus in India, or any other particular one? No. It was just the statement. Statement coming by whom? Mountbatten. Okay, who had no experience, literally zero, nil experience of the Indian society and Indian politics, right? Who came to India just with this one mindset, that I'm going to divide them, right? And he got succeeded as well. With the boost coming from the Direct Action Day 1946. So what happened? Basically, the communal violence that erupted on August 16, 1946 highlighted the deepening rift between the communities, that is specifically Hindus and Muslims. Calcutta, under Muslim League government, witnessed some of the worst riots, specifically in the regions of Noakhali and so on, right? The violence soon spread to the parts of India, including Noakhali, Bombay, Bihar, and the United Provinces, leaving thousands dead, and further polarizing the political atmosphere. Okay. Samrat Mountbatten Minute. I think I'm not able to understand your comment there. It will be better if you can elaborate a bit. But I can understand you are referring something to Mountbatten. Okay. But after that minute and minute, what is that? I'm not able to decode that specifically. So I request you, if you can just elaborate a bit, that would be really thankful. Okay. So, Direct Action Day. Who was the one who initiated this so-called Direct Action Day? It was Muhammad Ali Jinnah, Qaid-e-Azam of Pakistan. Qaid-e-Azam. You know what is the meaning of Qaid-e-Azam? Kind of a role model, right? Who had no political stand, no ethical or morality with himself in the realm of the politics as well as religion, was termed as the Qaid-e-Azam of Pakistan, a nation based on religion, right? But this is what, the fact is, he was one of the one who initiated this violence. Okay, specifically, regions of Bombay, Bihar, Noakhali, and the other parts of present-day Uttar Pradesh, that was erstwhile United Provinces, right? So, what is the word that is troubling? Thousands dead. Okay. Thousands of the people. This is the data of 1946. This is not the data of 1947 when, before independence we had the partition. No. It is a year later to come. You can see this is August 16, 1946. The other one will come exactly a year later, 1947. It was very well stated. I must quote him here. He was born in India, but later on, after the partition, he became Pakistani. A very famous writer as well, though very controversial. But yeah, controversials, they are often famous. Manto, in one of his books, in one of his public speeches as well, he referred that मुझे आज़ादी तो मिल गई थी, लेकिन मेरी आज़ादी की कीमत मेरे मुल्क का बंटवारा थी. I got independence, I got freedom, I got reliance. But the cost of my freedom, cost of my reliance was the division or the partition of my country. है ना? So basically, मेरी आज़ादी की कीमत मेरे मुल्क का बंटवारा थी. That's absolutely true. And all thanks to the divisive schemes as well as the corrupt political mindsets we do had in the very initial stages of our political movements, right? So, as what we can see here, the formation of the interim government. To prevent the further violence, to prevent the further unrest, okay, Viceroy Wavell, the second last Governor General before the arrival of Mountbatten, he was the last one, invited Jawaharlal Nehru, who was the Congress president of the time, to form up the interim government, which assumed office on September 2, 1946. Remember guys, September 2, 1946 was the time when the first interim government of India was established, led by whom? Led by, once again, Jawaharlal Nehru. Okay. After continued negotiations, the Muslim League initially refused to join, but eventually agreed on 26th of October 1946. So you can see somewhere delegation, like a gap of 50 days. Okay. Muslim League, which was reluctant in the initial stages to join the interim government, later on agreed to join. However, the League adopted an obstructionist approach within the interim government, opposing Congress decisions and the appointments. Well, that is the Muslim League, the party at the time. Initially, they were reluctant, but after some, pursuit and the convincing by the local leaders, specifically Mahatma Gandhi, as well as other persons from Nehru to Patel and so on, Muslim League decided, okay, let's join the interim government. But the problem is, Muslim League, though joined, but they had a distinct mindset. Their opinion and the Congress's opinion was now poles apart, right? They were never onto the same pages. And hence, as a result, it created huge level of objection. Huge level of objection that is mentioned here as the obstructionist approach, right? And later, it was realized that no, this interim government is not going to work, as literally it created what? As you can see, this created a hostile working environment, making it nearly impossible for the two parties to function cohesively, right? It was literally now quite impossible, difficult. So the next thing, here we go. What is the Constituent Assembly basically? So the Constituent Assembly, it was conceived to design the Constitution of India, which had two distinct parameters. The first one was the Congress and the second one was Muslim League. And now the problem was, they both now were poles apart with the ideologies. And to have a constitution of united India, Pakistan was not into the existence even the year 1946, was now seen as a most challenging task on this planet. World War II ended. Now it was easy to have the good relations or cordial or delicate relations between the fighting groups, okay, from the Triple Entente to the official leagues of the group of the world. It seemed easy for the US and the USSR, the British and the French to establish normal relations, but it seemed almost impossible, next to impossible, between Congress and Muslim League to have any sort of compromise, that too in a peaceful manner. Okay, so for which British, they were like, okay, no problem, I'm sending someone to your country. His name will be Lord Mountbatten, Lord, right? Who will be providing you some absolute amount of, some absolute support. Okay, and Lord Mountbatten, when he came to India, according to the framing of the Indian Independence Act, the first thing what he tried to mention, he mentioned was that the territory of India shall be divided into two different parts. One will be India as it is, and another one will be Pakistan. Okay. But the problem is this decision came in the year 1947. Constituent Assembly was made in the year 1946. By November 1946, Constituent Assembly was ready, okay, which was at the time joined by both, that is the Muslim League as well as the Congress. And the other political parties, they were also there, but the prominent one or the greatest one were these two only, that is Muslim League as well as the Congress. But very soon, because of the two-nation theory and the ongoing tussle and the ongoing rift between the two communities, okay, at the time, it was now done that it is not possible to live under one roof, so let's divide, okay. This division not only created the boundary, not only the communal tensions, not only the violence, but also the Constituent Assembly lost many of its members as well. That ultimately tempered the working of the assembly, right? So here we go. We talk about the Constituent Assembly now. The Constituent Assembly is an institution specifically conceived to design or amend the Constitution with the authority to establish the norms that govern the political and social framework of a territory. Right? So this is what Constituent Assembly is. Before that, we need to understand a particular feature that we do call it as constitutionalism. Okay? So there is a particular feature or a political ideology, constitutionalism. What is constitutionalism? Very simple, very basic. It is an idea, basically, it is an idea that states a society should only be governed with the help of a constitution only, right? And this constitution, specifically this word, constitution shall be having these features, okay? The features as in providing equality, establishing justice, maintaining fraternity, that shall ultimately lead to the harmony. That's it. Okay. So the idea of constitutionalism. What is this idea of constitutionalism? That is, a society should be governed only with the help of the constitution only. And the constitution should be having the following features, as in equality, justice, fraternity, harmony. Okay, that shall spice up literally the growth and development of whom? Of everyone. Okay, this is where the logic comes in. This is where the theory comes in. And further, the thing that constitutionalism also focuses, elimination. Elimination of what? Elimination of all sort of discrimination. Elimination of all sort of discrimination. Right? That's it. This is what constitutionalism is all about, and this is what the Constituent Assembly basically focuses on. What? Establishment of a constitution possessing equality, justice, fraternity, harmony, and all of these four shall spice up the other element, that is elimination of each and every type of discrimination. Right? So this is what the work of the Constituent Assembly came into being on November 1946 under the Cabinet Mission Plan of 1946 as a partly elected and a partly nominated body. Okay, Constituent Assembly. Right. So here we go. The features of the Constituent Assembly. It took 2 years, 11 months and 18 days for our Constituent Assembly to create the Constitution for independent India, not Pakistan, India. Okay. So they had their first meeting on 9th of December 1946. And from here, 2 years, 11 months, 18 days, on 26th of November 1949, they were able to finalize the Constitution for independent India. Okay, which was later, 2 months later, on 26th of January 1950, was applied for the whole of the territory of India. Okay, so after its final session on January 24, 1950, the Constituent Assembly served as the provisional parliament from January 26 to 1950 until the first general elections that happened during the time period of 1951 to 1952 established the new parliament. Okay, so here a fact, a question. If elections were happening, then for sure election commission is active. If election commission is active, then who will be termed as the first chief election commissioner of independent India? Okay, so a question, okay, based on history and polity both, basic. Who was the first chief election commissioner of independent India? So what answer do we have? Answer is, it was Sukumar Sen, very senior Indian civil services officer. ICS at that time we termed IAS as ICS. Okay, so it is Sukumar Sen, the first chief election commissioner of independent India. Right? So here we go. The further features, 1934 to 1946, the timeline. Okay, who was the first person who asked for the Constitution of independent India, or the Constituent Assembly shall also be there? So it was one of the famous political philosophers of the time as well, Manvendranath Roy, in short M.N. Roy. Okay. So the idea of Constituent Assembly was put forward for the first time Manvendranath Roy, who was the pioneer of the Indian communist movement as well. Okay, so the communism in India, not communalism, communism. Okay, we're talking with the word communism, not communalism. So communism in India, it is coming from the name M.N. Roy. Okay, then in the year 1935, the National Congress, the Indian National Congress, for the first time demanded the Constituent Assembly to frame the Constitution of India. 1938, Jawaharlal Nehru declared that the Constitution of Free India must be framed without outside interference by a Constituent Assembly based totally on elections, and elections shall be based on the universal adult franchise. Okay. Then in the year 1940, first time in principle, the demand for the Constituent Assembly was accepted by the British through the August offer of 1940. Then 1942, so-called Sir Stafford Cripps came to India with a draft proposal to frame an independent constitution, which was rejected by the Muslim League. No, koi zarurat nahi hai. Get lost. And then the Congress came into the picture. See, what type of constitution you want to make? A sovereign one or a dominion one? So Stafford Cripps said, obviously, dominion one. नहीं sovereign वॉवरेन तो भूल जाने का, ये नहीं मिलने का. Sovereign, you won't get sovereign, man. Dominion. You are going to be the dominion of India. And for which Muslim League denied for which Congress denied. Okay, udhar Tilak, Bal Gangadhar Tilak, he gave us the statement, right? Swaraj is my birthright and I shall have it, right? And now the very same thing. Swaraj, Purna Swaraj. Once again, coming from the words of Tilak, Purna Swaraj, it is my birthright and I must have it. I am Punjab Kesari. I will get my Purna Swaraj, right? So we said, Muslim League as well as Congress, we are following the words of Tilak. No dominion. Okay, we need absolute independence. So Stafford Cripps, he went back to the British and he was like, sir, वो लोग तो मना कर रहा है, वो मानने को ready नहीं है, right? Those people, the Indians are denying, they're not even ready to listen. Then he came back in 1946 with Patrick Lawrence and A.V. Alexander. Okay, in cabinet mission, let me show you. Then we said, okay, let us show you as well. Okay, we are going to reject the policies of the cabinet mission plan again. Okay, so then finally 1946, okay, came in the cabinet mission, which rejected the idea of the two constituent assemblies. Hence, elections were held as per the cabinet mission plan of 1946 to establish the constituent assembly. But Mountbatten, Noah Khali incidents, riots, violence that claimed thousands of life, and now it was like, okay, do bana lo. India, Pakistan. Constituent Assembly of India, Constituent Assembly of Pakistan. Okay. पैसे कौन देगा? Of course, India. Who will pay for the Constituent Assembly of Pakistan? Oh, Consolidated Fund of India. 60 crores, not much. Next, the composition of the Constituent Assembly. As what we have seen, 1940, when the August offer was accepted, and 1938, when Jawaharlal Nehru stated that we shall have the Constitution of India made with the Constituent Assembly with absolute elected body. The Constituent Assembly, according to the statements of Jawaharlal Nehru, Constituent Assembly should have been an absolute elected body, right? But the actual Constituent Assembly, which was made in the year 1946, it was partially elected and partially nominated body. Okay, that means it had the elected as well as non-elected members both. Okay. So as what we can see here, the Constituent Assembly comprised members who were partly elected and partly nominated. The elected members were indirectly elected by the members of the Provincial Legislative Assembly, who were elected on the limited franchise. Limited franchise as in some limited voters were also there. Some defined voters were also there. So it was also the criticism of the Constituent Assembly that it was not a particular absolutely elected body. Okay, and in case, the fact is it was also not a sovereign body. As with regard to the presence of the British interference was seen till 1948, even a year after the independence. You know, the facts, the very lesser known facts. What is the tenure of Mountbatten, Lord Mountbatten, as the Governor General or Viceroy of India? So technically it should have been 1947 to 1947 as he came to India in 1947. So technically it should be 1947 to 1947 only. Because 1947, August 1947, 15th August 1947, we got independent. Right, we got independence. So we should have said bye-bye to Lord Mountbatten as well, but no. He stayed in India as the Viceroy itself for next a year as well. So his tenure is 1947 to 1948. Right. So it is also stated that it was not absolutely elected body and it was also not absolutely a sovereign body as well. Till 1948, we have seen that the interference of the British Crown was clearly visible, right? So as what we have here, okay, the total strength of the Constituent Assembly after the partition and everything, what we can have, what we can understand. So the features. Total strength, how many? 389 total strength. British Indian Territory 296, princely states 93. Okay. Now, members of the Muslim League who were originally from Pakistani territory withdrew from the Indian Constituent Assembly, and as a result, the strength decreased from 296 to 229. Okay. Then the strength of the princely kingdoms decreased from 93 to 70 when members of the Muslim League withdrew from the Indian Constituent Assembly. So what happened? 229 plus 70. So we were left with 289 members only. Right? The problem. Now, the division. 11 were from the governor's provinces. 4 from the chief commissioner's provinces, 1 each. Seats allocated to the British provinces were divided among 3 principal communities, that is Muslims, the Sikhs and the general. Okay, that is basically the Hindus in proportion to their population. Then the representatives of each community were elected by the members of that community in provincial legislative assembly indirectly, and voting was proportional representation and through the single transferable vote. That is, vote was not transferable in nature. Okay. Next, representatives of princely states were to be nominated by their respective heads. Okay. So now talking about the general features. Okay, let's decode all of this story. Actual strength, when we talk about, okay, British Indian Territory 296, princely states 93. That is totally 389. But after the partition happened, after the partition, the Constituent Assembly was also divided, and many of the members, they were now transferred from the Indian Constituent Assembly to the Pakistani Constituent Assembly. And what was left with India? It was now 229, okay, from the British Indian territories and 70 from the princely states. Okay, this is what was left with India. 70 from princely states, 229 from the British territory. Okay, so this is what the mathematics we had, the figures we had. And out of these 229, okay, the 11, they were coming from the governor's provinces and 4 were coming from the chief commissioner's provinces. Okay, from 4 chief commissioner provinces, 1 from each. And apart from that, the seats division was done on the grounds of 3 different religions. The general, that was basically the Hindus were represented in general. Others, they were the Muslims and the Sikhs. Okay, Muslims, that is those kingdoms, those who didn't join Pakistan, those who were clever enough, okay, to stay with the better side. Okay, so this is what the particular thing is with regard to the Constituent Assembly, the membership. Now, making of the Indian Constitution, how the things they went ahead, how we made it, how we didn't. So, before proceeding with the chapter, one thing that we must discuss. The chief architect of the Indian Constitution, that is Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, one who was also leading the drafting committee. But there were other names. Along with the great name of B.R. Ambedkar, we had other names as well, including 2 most prominent personalities, that is Jawaharlal Nehru and Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. The ideology is important to understand before entering the chapter. What is the ideology thing here, political ideology? You might have wondered if you have read the Constitution or the fundamental rights or DPSPs and everything. The prime focus, the biggest focus is done on 2 things. That is elimination of discrimination and representation of equality. The 2 things that are kept as the head, as the header, as the front line, as the headline in bolds and capitals basically of the Constitution. This was also the question asked by UPSC, probably 2017 or 18 of the prelims. I'm not so sure with the year, but probably it was 2017 or 18 only. Okay. What was the question? The minds or the mindset basically of the constitution makers. The minds of the constitution makers is represented best in which of the following? In which of the following? So option A, preamble. Option B, fundamental rights. Option C, DPSP. Option D, the center state relations. Come on guys, go ahead with the correct answer. With your answer, correct or not correct, not worries. Okay, come on, quickly, go ahead. I'm aside here. Read the question carefully. The minds of the constitution makers or the mindset of them is best represented in which of the following? Is it preamble? Is it fundamental rights? Is it DPSP or the center state relations? Okay, so Akhil has to answer A, Samrat has to answer A as well. Okay, others, are you going to answer as well? No? Fine. So the correct answer is yes, Akhil and Samrat, you guys are correct. The correct answer is yes, Bulbul, you are also correct. Preamble. Okay. So preamble is the correct answer. Okay. The mindset of the constitution makers, it is clearly visible. Where? Preamble. Now, the events that we must discuss. Okay. No, dear Mahesh, it's not the fundamental rights, brother. It's preamble. Okay. We, the people of India. With the word we, the people of India, the constitution makers have made their stand very clear. That who is the source of power? The source of power will be only and only the citizens, the people, as democracy states. And when we talk about democracy, it will be very injustice to not mention Abraham Lincoln, right? The very famous statement, democracy is to the people, for the people, by the people, right? So in that very same sense, democracy, India is a democracy and the power is derived from whom? We, the people of India. Okay, and we have stated that we shall be having the rule of law. Okay, that is, no one is above law. Everyone is beneath the law. And with those particular words, we, the people of India, having solemnly resolved, okay, to constitute India and give to ourselves this and that. What were the words? Okay, to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, democratic republic. Okay, and guarantee to ourselves what? Freedom, liberty, equality, justice, fraternity, harmony. Okay, we shall be having all of these things. That is according to the words of the constitution, preamble. And this is where the mindset of the preamble is being referred as well. That they are focusing where? That we shall be sovereign. We denied this Cripps mission, right? The offer by the Cripps mission that we are going to provide you the dominion status. We said, why I should get dominion status? I want independence, total independence, absolute independence, Purna Swaraj. Give me that, right? Then we consider ourselves as sovereign as well, right? We do not have any godfather above myself. Myself, I am master of my own, right? So we are socialist, right? We are secular. We are republic. Our head of the state will be elected by the masses, directly or indirectly, whatsoever, but it will be elected by the masses itself, right? And then we have provided more taste to the democracy by providing justice, liberty, freedom, equality, everything, Okay, so this is what the mindset of the constitution makers they are. Okay, so we talk about three great names of the assembly: Sardar Patel, Jawaharlal Nehru, and yes, obviously the name which we have to take whenever we are dealing with the constitution, as because without him there is no constitution. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, Bhimrao Ramji Ambedkar. Very recently, we paid tribute to him as well. Okay, just 3 days back on his birth anniversary, 14th of April, 1891. Right. So, B.R. Ambedkar, as the chief architect, the leader, or also the chairperson of the drafting committee, made his stand absolutely crystal clear that whatever I as an individual had faced, I won't let any of my fellow Indians to face the same. Yes, Dr. Ambedkar, who came from a scheduled caste or a depressed class as it was considered that time, and unfortunately what we have seen through the life of Ambedkar sir, that he faced n number of discrimination, atrocities, as well as many of the times he was also debarred from gaining the opportunities as well. For what? Just because of the caste he possessed, as because of the stereotype mentality the Indian society had, that there are people belonging to the lower castes or the scheduled caste and they shall not be considered as the mainstream citizens. And because of which Ambedkar sir had to face n number of discriminations and atrocities. And when he got the opportunity, right, to frame the constitution, lead the drafting committee, he was very clear that atrocities, discriminations, subjugations I had faced, I will not let my fellow Indians face the same. And hence, when it comes to fundamental rights or the duties of the state or anything, we have seen that the prime focus is given on two things. First one is the establishment of equality. Equality of what? Social, political, economic, all types of equality. And then it comes to the other one, that is elimination of discrimination. Okay, all forms of discrimination. Okay, each and every form of discrimination, from the racial to gender based, place of birth, religion, caste, community, creed, profession, whatever. There shall be no discrimination going ahead in the minds of the masses, right? So for this, the Constituent Assembly, including Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, tried their best, right? And now coming to the making of the Indian Constitution. Okay, so it had, almost 3 years. It took almost 3 years, that is precisely 2 years, 11 months and 18 days to frame the Constitution. And in that, okay, when we see the figures here, the Constituent Assembly sat for the first time on 11th December 1946. Rajendra Prasad was the president, Harendra Kumar Mukherjee and V.T. Krishnamachari as the vice president, and B.N. Rao as the constitutional or the legal advisor was appointed. Okay, but before Rajendra Prasad, you might be having, sir, what about Dr. Sachidanand Sinha, right? Was he not the first president of the assembly? Yep, that's correct. Rajendra Prasad was the first elected president of the Constituent Assembly, who came later to be the first president of the country as well. Okay, but when we talk about the interim president, it was Dr. Sachidanand Sinha, that is the temporary one. Yeah, and he was not elected. He was chosen as to be the interim president, okay, as he was the senior most member of the Constituent Assembly. Okay, with regard to the age and experience he had, he was, that is Dr. Sachidanand Sinha, was the senior most member. And following the convention of seniority, okay, he was considered or he was taken up as the interim president. But then the assembly had elections in which Dr. Rajendra Prasad won and he was given the president chair. Okay, and he was supported by two other wonderful personalities. Okay, who were they? So it was H.C. Mukherjee, okay, and V.T. Krishnamachari as the vice president. Okay, and now, who was the legal advisor to the Constituent Assembly? Okay, legal advisor, right? It was B.N. Rao. Okay, as you can see the name here, B.N. Rao as the constitutional legal advisor was appointed. So the names that you need to remember: Dr. Sachidanand Sinha as the interim president, but he was not elected. The first elected one was Dr. Rajendra Prasad. He was supported by whom? The two vice presidents. Who are the two vice presidents? That is Harendra Kumar Mukherjee, or in short H.C. Mukherjee, as well as V.T. Krishnamachari. Okay, these were the two vice presidents of the Constituent Assembly, and the legal or the constitutional advisor to the Constituent Assembly was another intellectual personality there with absolute wisdom and experience of the legislation and so on. It was B.N. Rao. Okay, so I hope all of these things are clear. You would be having no doubt. Okay, but till now we don't get our space in society. Yeah, that's true. See, the very ground reality, hota na darkest humor. Okay, there are three things: the dark, the darker, and the darkest. So in the very same way, we have got the dark, the darker, and the darkest realities as well. What is that? The darkest reality. For example, I have got every weapon with me, with whom, using what, I can eliminate all the evils. Try to understand the statement. I have got all the weapons with me, using what, I can eliminate or neutralize all the evils of the society. Evils related to discrimination or injustice. But unfortunately, the problem is, I do not know. I'm not trained enough to utilize or use those weapons. That's the reality of us, of you and me, we, the people of India, we, the country of India, the people of India. We have. It's not like that we don't have any like options or weapons or tools or equipments or machineries or whatsoever you can say. The problem is we do not have the proper, awareness, the proper training, the proper inputs of how to use those equipments or machineries or the weapons through which we can eliminate all sort of discrimination, right? So here comes in the picture. Okay, so Bulbul, with your comment, I would like to quote here as well a topic related to our current affairs as well. That is what we call as doctrine of lashes. Okay, so guys, before entering into this particular chapter, making of the Indian Constitution, a current event is there to be discussed as well. What we term it as the doctrine of lashes. Okay, you can just note it down. What it states something like this: equity aids vigilant. Okay, equity aids vigilant, as in, if you are, there is a saying, okay, God helps those who helps themselves. Okay, God helps those who helps themselves. So basically, you can understand it with this single thing: God helps those who helps themselves. So in the very same sense, it is mentioned that you will be given rights with all of the rights only when you demand or are aware of. You can just note it down, please. Okay, it is known as what? The doctrine of lashes. It is often termed as the another phrase, that is equity aids vigilant. Okay, that is God helps those who helps themselves. So you'll be given with all of the rights only when you demand or are aware of. Okay, noted all of you? Fine. Okay, so yeah, dear Bulbul, what you can do is you can connect with me, dear, over my Telegram and Instagram channel. Okay, nothing to worry about. I've shared my channel, okay, as well Instagram. So guys, if you need to connect, you guys can connect with me here on Telegram. It will be study_with_Praveen. Okay, and for Instagram, it will be Praveen Mishra. _2107. Okay, so wherever you wish, you can connect. Okay, and let me know how can I help you. Okay, right? So let's move ahead with the chapter. The making of the Indian Constitution, right? So the names we have got clear. Okay, Dr. Rajendra Prasad, assisted by Vice Presidents H.C. Mukherjee and V.T. Krishnamachari, legal advisor being B.N. Rao. Okay. So the first thing for which the Constituent Assembly members, they were very eager. It was a fine day of 13th of December 1946. Very fine day. Fine day as in when the doors they were opened for someone to enter. His name was Jawaharlal Nehru. He was entering the the hall area, crossing the aisle with a file in his hand like this. And when he entered, he just reached near the podium, and then he represented to my dear brothers and sisters, I have come here with this one piece of paper that I call it as the objective resolution. Objective resolution as in, what are my objectives? Okay, how and why I want my nation to be. Okay, why and how both. So in that objective resolution, he mentioned all of the things. Liberty, equality, fraternity, harmony, justice, everything. That later on came to be known as the Preamble of the Indian Constitution. Okay, so on 13th December 1946, Jawaharlal Nehru introduced the objective resolution in the assembly which laid down the philosophy of the Constitution of India. It geared towards the fostering economic and political security in India through a written constitution and declaring India a sovereign democratic republic. Okay, remember the socialist, secular and integrity words, they were added later on through the first and so far the last amendment to the preamble, so far the last, okay, that is 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act 1976. Remember guys, the Constitution has been amended just once so far, for the first and till date the last time. Okay, it could be amended more as well into the future whenever it is needed. Okay, that is through the 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act and the further of the words. socialist, secular and integrity was added. But the actual preamble of the constitution had what? The words sovereign, democratic, republic. Basically, it fostered the formulation of a federal, okay, with even-handed distribution of powers between the center and the states. Remember, the events, they were totally impacting the idea and philosophy of the constitution. India, when you talk about, we have this thing to be discussed later as well, is not absolutely a federation. Okay, Indian scheme of federation is bit tilted. It is something which is like this. At top, we have got the center or the union, and bit low, we have got the states or the provinces. Okay. Why this tilt is there? When we talk about the equal distribution of powers, right? So it should either look like this or it should look like this, that is equal. But this is not from the context of India. It's not absolutely equal. Okay. What are we? We are tilted. Why we are tilted? What is the reason to have this tilt or this quasi federal thing here? The reason was the experience we had. We had saw this during the event of independence only, that how the partition was done very easily. Yeah. Very easily how the partition could have happened. Not could have happened, it had happened. And how deadly it happened. It's not like that it was difficult to divide. It was easy to divide, but the division happened on a deadly note with absolute bloodshed, bloodbath. Right? The division was easy. The events of division was difficult. Right? Let it be. Need not discuss that. So, the constitution makers, they had this thing very clear, that if we provide autonomy to the provinces, we will never be able to have a united, integrated India. It will be next to impossible thing for us. And hence, they created a new scheme, a new schema, that is going ahead with the quasi-federation, the quasi-federal structure, that is providing autonomy to the states but not absolute autonomy. So that the flag of India, okay, it's going on, it keeps going on. It's being hoisted in each and every corner, so that the principles of Indian nationalism is admired throughout the territory of India. And no one will be ever having this tendency of separatism. Okay, so this is what the constitution makers, they had experienced in the previous past, and this is what they tried to apply into the upcoming future as well. And we must appreciate what they did for us. Their experience is only the thing which has yet led India to be united and integrated India. Right? This action of providing the quasi-federal structure only. Right? So here we go. The committees. Okay. How the committees they had worked and what were the committees basically. The Constitution, the Constituent Assembly at various points during the Constitution making appointed several committees on different aspects of the Constitution to conduct preliminary research and deliberations within smaller groups. And Constituent Assembly organized the organizational committees as well. So the organizational committee, what were they? So organizational committee of the assembly was established to ensure smooth functioning of the assembly. That is the constitution making process. And each committee, that is the organizational committee, okay, it had one single purpose, okay, and what was that? Just to go ahead and obey the rules, look at the finances, go ahead with the negotiations, following the proper procedural matters, and contributing to the efficient of drafting of the India's constitution. Okay, so this is what the basic thing or the basic features of the organizational committees. That is basically, look at what? Look at the rules, finances, negotiations, procedures, the proper protocols, and contribute directly to the drafting of the Indian Constitution. Okay, so for which we have got multiple committees, as you can see the names. Okay, what are the names here? Rules of Procedure Committee. Okay, so it was by the President itself, Rajendra Prasad. Steering Committee, once again Rajendra Prasad. Okay, the Staff and Finance Committee, once again Rajendra Prasad. Credentials Committee, A.K. Iyer. Order of Business Committee, K.M. Munshi. Then we have got the States Negotiation Committee, Jawaharlal Nehru. Then Flag Committee, Rajendra Prasad. And the Committee on the Functions of the Assembly, G.V. Mavlankar. Okay, so the names of the committee, guys, they're very, very important. Rules of Procedure, Steering, okay. Then we have got the State and Finance, Credentials, Order of Business, States Committee, okay, the States Negotiations Committee, and the Flag Committee. Okay, so who are the names? Rajendra Prasad for the top three. Then A.K. Iyer with regard to the credentials, K.M. Munshi with regard to the business, Jawaharlal Nehru, state negotiations, once again Rajendra Prasad for flag, and G.V. Mavlankar for the Committee on Functions of the Constituent Assembly. Okay, so these were the first one such names with regard to the organizational committee. Now, other than the organizational committee, the Constituent Assembly also formed several principal committees to address key aspects of the Indian Constitution. Okay, committees as well as their subcommittees. Okay, so Constituent Assembly, principal committees and their subcommittees. What are they? So as we can see, the most prominent ones. Okay, what are they? Advisory Committee on Fundamental Rights, Minorities, Tribal Areas, and Excluded Areas. No one could have handled it as better as Sardar Patel. So he had led that. Union Powers Committee, Jawaharlal Nehru. Union Constitution Committee, Jawaharlal Nehru. Okay, we had got the Provincial Constitution Committee, Sardar Patel again. And yes, last but not the least, because without whom we could never even imagine the Constitution. Yes, it is the Drafting Committee, led by whom? Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, Bhimrao Ramji Ambedkar. Okay. Yes, 15 members, specifically women members, were there also in the Constituent Assembly. Yes, Akhil, nice one. Right. So, next, the other sectoral committees. Right, there were some other sectoral committees as well. So what are they? In addition to the organizational and principal committees, okay, the Constituent Assembly established several sectoral committees to address various issues related to the nation's governance. Okay, what are these issues? Okay, and what are these committees? So for example, we had the name here. Advisory Committee, once again Sardar Patel. Okay, sorry, it's the same. Okay, so that one particular slide is missing. Sorry about that. Shall add into the next marathon. Okay, don't worry. So, coming to the next thing, criticism of the Constituent Assembly. You know what? The biggest or the easiest thing ever given to the mankind, to the human brain, not mankind, sorry, human brain. Okay, biggest and the easiest thing is criticism. It's easy to criticize. कुछ भी बोल दो. Talk time free है, बोलते रहो. Right? You speak anything. You know, governments, they are imposing taxes. Garbage tax, this tax, that tax, right? There should be also tax on speaking, nonsense things, right? This is my personal opinion. Because there only, tussles and strifes and the rifts they are created. When you speak anything baseless, nonsense, illogical, right? So, in that very same sense, criticism, it is not always correct. Criticism, it is not always correct. Okay. Sometimes it is correct, sometimes it is not even correct. Okay. And one such criticism or such sort of criticism we also have for our Constituent Assembly. Okay. So, as we can see, criticism. Several scholars and constitutional experts, they have criticized the Constituent Assembly on various grounds. First one, not a representative body. Okay. Its members were not directly elected. That is based on the universal adult franchise. Correct. No doubt. Second one, not a sovereign body. Was created by the British and its sessions were held within the permission of the British officials or the government. Correct. We are not denying with that. Okay. Till 1948. Till 1948. The assembly was having absolute interference from the British side. 1948, not even 1947. Till 1948. Okay. But second half of the 1948, we can say, and the whole of 1949, the assembly worked absolutely as a sovereign body. So, this criticism is also partially correct, not absolutely. First thing. Second criticism, let's talk about the other forms of criticism. Time consuming. It took 2 years, 11 months, 18 days. अरे constitution बनाना है, दाल चावल नहीं. Right? क्या ऐसा कुकर में डाला, उबाला, परोस दिया, खा लिया? नहीं. You are making constitution of the country. You are not making some pudding, right? That you just went to the kitchen, just took some ingredients, put them all together, boiled them and ate them. Wow, nice. How time consuming? Huh? You are comparing it with the American Constitution, which was done in 4 months. Okay. Did America had that amount of diversity? Did America had that amount of internal issues as compared to India? Did America underwent any sort of partition during the framing of the assembly of the Constitution? Did any partition happened with America? No. Second one, dominated by Congress. It was the largest party. So, because it was the largest party, it was having the largest members there. Why there was no other largest party there? Because no one rose to that amount of prominence. Because no other party rose to that level of greatness as the Congress did at that time. See, I am praising the Congress. Now you might be like, "Arey sir, your congressman kya?" No. I am praising the Congress of 1940s. Okay, I am not dealing with the present Congress political party. Okay, I am dealing with the, well, though they both are same, obviously, but ideologies are different. The then Congress and the present Congress, it is different. Okay, though the same party, but ideologies they have differed, and the breakthrough came in during the era of Indira Gandhi itself, when Congress was itself divided between two. Okay, right? So here I am dealing with that erstwhile Congress. I am not dealing with the present Congress led by the present political leaders. No, I am dealing with the erstwhile Congress of the then time. Okay, 1940s or 50s in fact. Right. So dominated by the Congress, obviously a fact. It was Congress only which was having the largest number of share of the votes as well as the people or the representatives. So it would be the largest one. Second, lawyers, politicians, domination. So what do you want? Do you want me to keep doctors in the assembly? You want me to keep businessmen in the assembly? You want me to keep chartered accountants into the assembly? Or you want me to keep college students into the assembly? It is constitution, that is law. And who can be present there? A one who is having the sense of law, understanding of the law, who is having experience in formulation of the law, as well as statutes, creation and enactments of the statutes. And who are they? They are only two people. Either they are the lawyers or they are the politicians. So how it could be even a criticism? Right? How? I mean, literally how? Right? So, what do you want me to keep? Doctors, chartered accountants, engineers, okay, or college students, or what? The zoologist, botanist, whom should I keep? Should I keep farmers there? Should I keep businessmen there? Should I keep, the teachers in there, or some corporate managers there, or employees there? No, obviously not. You are making constitution. Constitution means law. And law means those who have understanding of the law, basically the lawyer as well as the politician. So it will be dominated by them. And the last one, dominated by Hindus. Now, according to the proportion of the population, Hindus, they were in majority, and hence they were having the majority representation there as well. Right? So, criticism should always be coming on the logical grounds. Yes, these are the two very logical grounds. Okay, true. But what about the other ones? There it was having no logic. Time consuming, yes, they took good amount of time, ample amount of time, because they were creating a constitution for an independent nation which is having n number of internal issues. The very same assembly got division as well. It got divided as well. Okay, and because of that also, it had to take an ample amount of time. Right, dominated by the lawyers and the politicians, so it had to be dominated by Congress because it was the single largest party. Right, then dominated by Hindus as they were having the largest number of population share. So it will be, but for sure. Right. So this is what the criticism to the assembly is, and not always the criticism is correct. Okay. Hindu being the majority, why there was discrimination in Varna system, as India is a civilizational country from the time being, Well, to answer your question there, not case, okay. Hindu being the majority, why there was discrimination in various or in the Varna system. See here, that's the loophole. Okay, that's the drawback basically every religion had. Okay, not just Hinduism, I will say every religion is having such sort of drawbacks. And talking about specifically, to your question, yes, the Varna system, which was earlier, before with the book Manusmriti, Varna system was actually a very different system, which was basically focusing on the class division. Okay, class division based on the profession or occupation I had. First thing. But Manusmriti converted this Varna system on the grounds of profession to the grounds of birth itself. And this created much level of discrimination. Right. And for which we are trying our level best to eliminate this discrimination, not just from Hindu society, from the Indian society as a whole. Because if you ask me about my personal opinion, I do not believe, personally speaking, I do not believe in any community specific society. Okay, I believe in the country specific society, that is, we should be the countrymen, that is, the fellow citizens of India. Right, we should not be the community specific people. Okay, this is what my opinion is. Okay, we should be either I'm coming from Kashmir, either I'm coming from Tamil Nadu, I'm coming from Lakshadweep or Andaman, Nagaland or Arunachal, Gujarat or Rajasthan, UP or Bihar, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Karnataka, wherever. No, I should be the person residing in India as a citizen of India. Right, and I should be that only. I should not be based on community specific lines. Okay, then only we will be able to eliminate all sort of discrimination. Right, I would like to quote here on the very same statement. I was watching this wonderful movie. I don't know if you guys have watched it or not. A Hindi movie, basically. It got released some 15 years back. Akshay Kumar was the character there, actor. The name of the movie was Khatta Meetha. Right, and in that he gave a very nice dialogue. Okay, I would like to quote the dialogue here. It was in Hindi, that India में Indians कहाँ हैं? इंडिया में इंडियंस नहीं मिलते हैं। इंडिया में आपको इंडियंस सिर्फ एक ही जगह मिलते हैं, वो है इंडिया और पाकिस्तान के क्रिकेट मैच में। उसके अलावा हम हैं गुजराती, मराठी, बंगाली, मलयाली, तेलुगु, कन्नड़, ओके, दिस एंड दैट। उसके बाद हम हिंदी बोलने वाले हैं, हम बंगाली बोलने वाले हैं, लाइक दैट। Okay, so he stated the dialogue is, okay, where is India in India? Where is Indians? Okay, where are Indians in India? You will find Indians only at one place, that is into the India-Pakistan cricket match. Other than that, we are Marathi, Gujarati, Bengali, Malayali, Tamil, Kannada, Hindi, Bihari, etc. Right, we are like that. Okay, so this needs to be sorted. This needs to be eliminated. We need to create a united and integrated India, free from all sort of discrimination based on the grounds of religion, caste, community, race, etc., etc. I need to eliminate this. Right? So, dear Nutcase, I believe I have answered your question. Anything else, guys, I need to answer? Any such particular question that is existing in your mind before we start the next big thing here? Yes, please. Do I need to address any other question like that or any other question? No? Pakka? Okay. So, moving to the next big thing here, the next topic, the salient features of the Indian Constitution. Salient, not silent, remember, right? What is the salient features of the Indian Constitution? How am I going to justify the word salient? Okay. Salient as in the special or the most important. India is the most unique country of this planet, right? Most unique country. Okay. How? Let's discuss. What makes India the most unique country of this planet? Firstly, for example, let's say language. Today, too much of issues with regard to the language is going on. So let's start with language. If in any country, okay, if in any country there is too much of the diversity, then it is stated that, oh, this country is having 2, 3, 4, 5 languages spoken. Like if you go to America, for example, in America, majority of the population, they are speaking English, Mandarin, or even, Mexican or Latin languages, they are also spoken there. Okay. So America is having a good chunk of population, those who are speaking Latin, Mexican, Mandarin, English, okay, or even Spanish, right? America. So 5 languages, right? You go to France, people will be speaking French, English, Spain, Spanish, English, China, Chinese, Mandarin, and so on, right? So now the problem is, come to India. True diversity in language there, right? In America, come to India. 22 languages are only those languages which are official. Okay. Official languages we have got 22. Forget about the other unofficial languages. Okay. Thousands of them now. You go to any country and ask them about their cuisine, right? So you go to America, you get the American food, right? You go to Europe, you get the continental food, right? You go to China, you go to Japan, you get the Chinese or the Japanese food. Come to India. What is Indian food? Dal bati churma, idli, dosa, okay, uttapam, vada, Indian, right? Litti chokha, Indian, chole bhature, Indian, right? Makke di roti, sarso da saag, Indian, right? Siddu, Indian. Momo is also Indian, right? Okay. Come to Northeast to have n number of different cuisine. That is also Indian. Come to Kashmir, Kashmiri Wazwa, Indian, right? So, what is Indian cuisine? You keep on eating, it won't end. What is Indian cloth, Indian attire? You go to China or Japan, people would be wearing the Japanese, this cloth, what we call it as kimono, I think. Right? You go to Europe, people would be wearing suit, blazer and all. Same goes with America. Come to India. What is Indian attire? Pagadi is Indian, topi is Indian, kurta pajama is Indian, salwar suit is Indian, sari is Indian, dhoti is Indian, right? Okay. You just go on, keep on counting. You have got n number of diversity. Okay. Let's talk about geography. If any country is there, so let's say if there is a desert in a country, there is only desert. If there is a hill in a country, there is only hill. If there is a mountain in a country, there is only mountain filled with snow. If there is only greenery in the country, there is only greenery. If the country is known for rainfall, then there is only rainfall in the country. If there is only beaches, the country is known for the beaches only. If there is just a plateau, the country is known for the plateau only. Come to India. Okay, what do you want? Greenery? Let's go to Northeast. Let's go to Eastern Ghats and Western Ghats. You want mountains, snow mountains? Come to Kashmir, Uttarakhand, okay, Himachal. You want plateaus? Come to the northern part. Okay, you want, what do you want? Beaches? Let's go to Maharashtra, Goa, Karnataka, Kerala, Bengal, Tamil Nadu. You want an island? Okay, come. We have got Lakshadweep, Andaman, everything we have got. Then in that very same sense, okay, we have got the Constitution of India. The most unique in its form. The Indian Constitution is the most unique constitution of this whole globe. Just like Indian cuisine, Indian attire, Indian language, Indian geography. The geographers also, they got their mind frustrated when they talk about Indian geography. They said, okay, this particular country hot and humid, this country cold, this country dry, this country, okay, tropical, subtropical, okay, the moderate climate or this climate or that climate. They came to India, geographers. What type of climate is this? It is harsh, it is moderate, everything is here. Rainfall, yeah, see Cherrapunji, Mawsynram. Snowfall, yeah, see Kashmir. Oh, they have got the heat waves. Come to Delhi. Let's go to Rajasthan. Let's go to Gujarat. Oh my God, too much trouble. So then they named the Indian geography, Indian weather actually. Okay, Indian type of climate. They were defining the climate of the whole globe. So somewhere hot, somewhere humid, somewhere dry, somewhere cold, somewhere this and that. Okay, India, we don't know. Geographers, they raise their hands. Sorry, it's beyond my limit, beyond my knowledge. So what type of climate India is? Indian type of climate. That's it. Right? So the uniqueness of this country. Geography, history, everywhere. Okay, in that very same sense, uniqueness of the country, where? In polity as well, in the constitution as well. Right, okay. So, yep, religion play a base role in Varna system as our constitutional rights are mainly on the system. Well, not case there. I don't think so exactly. Okay, we shall discuss this point. Okay, but as of now, I think we must refrain as it is, okay, it's a very debatable thing and it shall take time. We have got the topics to be covered, okay. So, they are not case. I would like to invite you to other sessions as well specifically, okay, where we can discuss this. So, there you can just type your comment again and we shall discuss for sure, okay. So, yes, Bulbul, government made many laws for, but when constitution will be amended for us. As in, like, Bulbul, I didn't got your comment there. Okay, so the salient features of the Indian Constitution, what are they? What type of the most important thing? Okay, so see, first and foremost thing, the constitutions, they are basically of two distinct types. Okay, that is, they are either written or unwritten. Okay, they are either written or unwritten. Okay, so Indian Constitution is what? Indian Constitution is written one, unlike the Pakistani or the British Constitution, which is unwritten. Okay, then we talk about the nature of the Constitution. The constitutions of this whole globe, Okay, they are having two distinct natures. Okay, what are the natures? Okay, two distinct natures basically. Okay, they could be either flexible or they could be rigid. Remember guys, constitutions globally, they are having only two natures. They could be either flexible in nature or rigid in nature. Any constitution, American Constitution, British, German, Russian, Australian, Canadian, whatsoever constitution is, whatsoever, it could be either of it, either flexible or rigid. But it is only and only, what? Only and only Indian Constitution, okay, which is rigid as well as flexible, both in nature. Okay. So, now, the salient features again. So, the first thing, longest or lengthiest written constitution. Okay, lengthiest written constitution of this world with 25 parts. Okay, more than 450, 460 articles something. Okay, 12 schedules. Okay, so this is what presently the lengthiest written constitution of this world. Written, first of all. Secondly, it is the blend. It is having the blend of rigidity as well as flexible. So, only constitution with blend of rigidity plus flexibility. Okay. Then it is focusing on the single citizenship. We are all the citizens of India. Okay. That's it. Then it is quasi-federal. We have got independent judiciary. And yes, we are sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic, and so on. Right. Now, the question that would be rolling in your mind, it is, what is this rigid and flexible constitution? Right. A very particular question that would be for sure rolling. Right. How do I define this word, rigid and flexible? Okay. What is this basically? Okay. So, a rigid constitution is that constitution. Okay, how do I define this word, rigidity of the constitution or the flexibility of the constitution, right? Okay, so let's understand. A rigid constitution is that constitution which can't be amended, easily. Whereas the flexible constitution is a constitution which can be amended easily. Okay. So, Indian Constitution, okay, is having rigidity as well as flexibility features both, as in there are few provisions of the Constitution that can be amended quite easily. Like for example, DPSPs. Okay, it can be amended easily. But on the other side, fundamental rights, it can't be amended easily. To amend DPSP, you need what? Simple majority, easily. To amend fundamental rights, you need what? Special majority. Can't be done easily, right? Okay. To amend, let's say for example, the position of Supreme Court or a High Court, you need special majority. Okay, it can't be amended easily. But on the contrary, in order to amend something related to the interstate relationship, it can be done easily. Interstate, right? Not interstate, interstate, right? Okay. So this is what the features or the provisions, okay, with regard to the written, with regard to the flexible and rigid constitution. So what we have got the blend of both, that is rigidity as well as flexibility. And how it is measured? Yes, on the grounds of amendment. How easily a constitution can be amended. Okay, this is what the simple thing, rigidity as well as flexibility. Okay, now coming to the point, the salient features. So as we can see, presently the lengthiest written constitution of this world, a preamble, 470 plus articles divided into 25 parts and 12 schedules. A thing that you must note here, that if you have the constitution with yourself or even the soft copy of the constitution with yourself or an app, then if you scroll down the parts, then you will see the last number as 22. And now it is mentioned here 25. Big doubt. Okay, sir, you are saying 25 parts. Constitution, when I am scrolling down the parts, it is last figure is 22. Which is right, 25 or 22? 25. How? Let's understand. 22 is the last digit, not the figure. Yeah. Alphanumeric, if we calculate alphanumeric parts as well, it will be 25. But if we just consider the number, it will be 22, but the correct answer is 25. As number and alpha numbers, alphanumeric, they both are there. Okay, like for example, part 1, 2, 3, 4. After 4, fifth part, no. After 4, we have got part 4a. Then we have got after that 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 and so on. Okay, so if we take alphanumerics as well, okay, so it will be 25 parts. Okay, now another point of doubt that might create, okay, that is article number. If you just go digit wise, that is number wise, okay, so it will be still last article, it will be 395. If you have the soft copy or the app of the constitution, you can just open and see. Okay, if you scroll down to the last number of the article, it will end at number 395. But that's digit, not the exact figure. If you go exact figure, it will be here. Like for example, article 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on. Article 15, 16, 17, 18, 20, 21. After 21, what should be the other article? 22. Yes, it should be other, but we have got the another article in between 21 and 22. That is article 21, capital A. Okay. Like for example, article 31. After that, article 32. No. After 31, capital A, capital B, capital C. Then article 32. Okay. Like for example, article 39. After 39, article 40. No. After 39, 39 capital A. Then 40. Then we have got article 43. 43 के बाद 44 नहीं. 43B, 43A, then 44 and so on. In that very same sense, article 243. Next article should be article 244. But no, we have got article 243, A, B, C, D to Z, from ZA to ZB to ZC to ZG. Okay. So in that, when we go ahead with the alphanumeric counting, we will be having what? Around 470 articles. Okay. So originally 395, 22 parts and 8 schedules. But presently, that is 2025, 470 articles, 25 parts, 12 schedules. Okay. This is what the basic features of the constitution. Firstly, okay. Next, a blend of rigidity and flexibility. Okay. Article 368, which talks about the power of Parliament to amend the constitution. Okay. So it says that some provisions can be amended by a special majority of the Parliament. That is 2/3 of the members present and voting in each house. Whereas some other provisions can be amended by a special simple majority, that is 1/3 of the members present and voting. So this makes Indian Constitution what? The synthesis of both, as in mixture of both, as in some parts they are easily amended, some parts as in they are difficult to amend. Hence, as a result, we are what? Rigid as well as flexible. Okay, so this is what the basic feature. Next, federal system with unitary bias. Okay, what is the logic? The next one, federal system with unitary bias. What is that? Understand, the Constitution of India, okay, it has established a federal system of the government. True or false? True, but false. Or false, but true. Same at the time. How? We are federal, but not exactly. Okay, our federal scheme is different from the actual policies or protocols of the word federation or the ideology of federation. Okay, there is bit difference, not bit, big difference. First and foremost, the thing that must be noted, the word federation or the term federation or federal is nowhere mentioned in the Constitution. Literally nowhere mentioned. Okay. Apart from the word federation, the Constitution makers have mentioned another word, that is what? The union. Remember, the word federation is nowhere mentioned in the Constitution. What is mentioned? The word union is only mentioned in the Constitution, not federation. First thing. Okay. And for India, it is also very well stated, as we were discussing into the making of the Constitution, that the mindset of the Constitution makers, it had created big impact. Okay. And what is the mindset we need to understand? India is considered as a nation of destructible states with indestructible union. Okay, destructible states with indestructible union. States can be destroyed, but not the union. Okay, states can be destroyed, but not the union. Now, what is the logic here? Here we go. In India, any of the time a particular state, okay, it could be, the boundary, it could be altered anytime. The name could be changed anytime. Okay. The state, it could be the territory, it could be bifurcated or trifurcated or what so. Okay. Two or more states, okay, can be joined together to make one state. The status of the states could be changed as well, that is from a state to a union territory or from a union territory to a state. For example, Goa from union territory to a state, Kashmir from a state to a union territory. Okay, Ladakh from a particular city of a state to a union territory. Okay, so this is what center, that is the union, is authorized or entitled with the powers to do so. And that is why India is termed as what? A nation with indestructible union, but with destructible states. Okay, and this is also compared with America as well. Like America is considered as a nation with indestructible states with destructible union. Okay, but on the contrary, India, that is we, destructible states with indestructible union. The logic. Okay, so here we go. So federal system with unitary bias. That is why we have also discussed this, that in India, the federation is tilted. At the dominant side, it is the center or basically the union. Okay, and on the dominating side, okay, the one who is getting dominated, okay, is the states. Okay, as the union or the center, it plays the role of big brother. Right? Center plays the role of what? Plays the role of big brother. Okay? Remember, it is also mentioned under Article 355. Okay, what you can understand? You can understand it here. Under Article 355, the Constitution clearly mentions, that what? It is the duty of the center to protect the states, from any kind of external aggression or internal disturbance. Okay, this is what has been clearly mentioned. Okay, एकदम clear mention किया गया है. What? That is the duty of the center to protect the states, okay, from any sort of external aggression or internal disturbance. Okay, so the center, that is why it is stated, it plays the role of big brother. Okay, plays the role of big brother. Okay, simply. Guardian, right? Okay, so here we go. Next thing. It contains all the usual features of a federation, that is, two governments, division of powers, written constitution, supremacy of the constitution, rigidity of the constitution, independent judiciary, and bicameralism. Okay, whereas the Indian Constitution also contains a large number of unitary or non-federal features, like for example, a strong center, single constitution, single citizenship, flexibility of the constitution, integrated judiciary, appointment of state governor by the center, all India services, emergency provisions, and so on. And yes, the word federation also is nowhere mentioned, as what Article 1 of the Indian Constitution has to state. Okay, according to Article 1 of the Indian Constitution. What is this? It says that India, that is Bharat. We have got two official names, India, that is Bharat, or Bharat, that is India, shall be the union of states. Okay, India, that is Bharat, shall be what? The union of the states. Word federation is nowhere, literally nowhere mentioned in the Constitution. Okay, this is what the logic. So we have got the features of the federal polity as well as the non-federal polity. Federation, the federal features what we have, federation we have got, okay, with regard to federation, yes, we have got what? The two governments as in at the center as well as the states level. Division of powers that has been done under Article 246. The legislative functions they have been divided, executive functions they have been also divided. Okay, legislative functions under Article 246, that is talking about the union list, state list and the concurrent list. Okay, then we have got the written constitution. This is also the provision of a federal nation. Then the supremacy of the constitution. Constitution is supreme, no one is above the law. Okay. Rigidity of the constitution. Indian constitution is rigid as well. Then judiciary is independent and we are also following bicameralism. Now what is this bicameralism? Okay, how do I define this word? Bicameralism. What is this? Okay, bicameralism as in presence of two different houses of legislation, as in we have got in the Parliament of India, the Union Parliament. Okay, what is there? We have got the House of Commons. In India we call it as Lok Sabha or the lower house. Then we have got the Council of States. In India we call it as Rajya Sabha. Okay, the upper house. Okay, so some of the states they also do follow bicameralism, like UP, Karnataka, Maharashtra, Andhra, Bihar. Okay, so these are some of the states which also have the bicameralism, or generally the other states in India they have got the unicameral legislation only, that is presence of the state legislative assembly only. Whereas states like UP, Maharashtra, Karnataka, Andhra, Telangana, Bihar, Jammu and Kashmir as well, once upon a time, they were having the bicameral legislation. Okay, right? So, majority of the states, they are having only and only the unicameral legislation. Okay, that is legislative assembly only, whereas these states, as mentioned above, as mentioned before, they are having the bicameralism with them, that is, along with legislative assembly, they also possess legislative council, just like the union parliament. Okay, but it is not mandatory for the states to go ahead with the bicameralism. They can go ahead with the unicameralism only, but at the central level, that is at the union level, it is important to go ahead with the bicameralism. Okay, that is Lok Sabha plus Rajya Sabha. Then what are the features of the non-federal nation? Okay, so the presence of the single citizenship. We are all the citizens of India. Okay, in federation, dual citizenship is there, like for America, citizens of America as well as the citizens of the states. Like for example, California. Okay, there is two citizenship, citizen of California, citizen of America. In India, we are not citizen of Maharashtra, Karnataka, Gujarat, Arunachal, Nagaland, Sikkim, UP, Kashmir, Lakshadweep, Andaman. No, we are all citizens of India, wherever we are living. Okay, then we have got the flexibility feature as well. Okay, then unitary feature we have got what? Okay, and the next thing, that is a strong center. Center is more strong. Single constitution, no constitution for the states. Okay, then we have got all India services appointed by the center, for which we are hustling here, that is for civil services examination made by, okay, conducted by UPSC actually. Emergency provisions all centered into the hands of the union only under Article 356, 365, 360 and 352. 352 being the national emergency, 356 President's rule, 360 financial emergency, 365 once again the President's rule. Okay, so it is all centered into the hands of the union. Okay, and hence we are federal as well as non-federal, that is unitary as well as federal, so quasi-federal in nature. Okay, then what's the most important feature that we need to mark here? That is the word federation. Okay, is literally nowhere mentioned in the constitution. Okay, no federation. What is mentioned in fact? Okay, this is being mentioned. What is that? India, that is Bharat, shall be the union of states rather than the federation of states. Okay, so this is what the salient features we do have. Okay, next, some particular arguments. Okay, Article 1 what it says, India shall be the union of states, it implies two things. Okay, what Article 1 implies. Okay, Indian Federation is not the result of an agreement between the states. Take, and no state has the right to secede from the federation. Once a particular state has joined India, now it will remain throughout the world's existence as India only. You can join anytime, whenever you want. Let's say Pakistan, Nepal, these are the states, for example, these are not part of India. Afghanistan, Bangladesh, okay, let's say these are not part of India, Sri Lanka and so on. Let's say tomorrow they want that no, India will be part of India. अपने में जोड़ लो हमको, ठीक है, तो अभी हम जोड़ लेंगे, ऐसा कोई दिक्कत तो है नहीं अपने को जोड़ने में, no problem, we will add them and then they will be considered India. But let's say a couple of days later after joining they say नहीं यार मजा नहीं आ रहा है, I want to go. जैसे पागल है क्या, बैठ जा इधर चुपचाप, you can't go, right? After a couple of days, let's say after joining India, any one of them will come to us and they will say no, I guess I was good in the actual form only, right? Let me go. Nah, you can't. Once you have joined India, you have joined India. Now you can't return. Okay, you have to be here only. Okay, so this makes the Indian Federation too strong. That is the union. No state has the right to secede from the federation. Okay, so some arguments. The Indian Constitution has been variously described as federal in form but unitary in spirit. That is basically quasi-federal or quasi-federal. By K.C. Weary. Okay. Bargaining Federalism by Morris Jones. Cooperative Federalism by Granville Austin. And Federation with a centralizing tendency by Ivor Jennings, some of the contemporary political scientists or the experts of the discipline of political science. Okay, so different political scientists, they have given their different opinions, varying opinions, as in, for example, K.C. Weary called as quasi-federal, okay, bargaining federalism by Morris Jones, cooperative federalism by Granville Austin, federation with a centralizing tendency by Ivor Jennings. Okay, so these are the names. Okay, just you need to remember the names and their statements as well. Okay, so guys, this is the next thing here. Parliamentary form of government. Okay, see, when we talk about the parliamentary form of government, you might be having other names with you as well, so don't get confused. Okay, you call it the parliamentary form of government. This parliamentary form of government is also known with some other names. Let's say, for example, it is also known as Westminster form of government. Okay. Why? Because the first parliament of the world, it was made in England, and this particular location is known as Westminster, where the first parliament of the world was made. So it is on the street, the name of the street is Westminster, so it is also known as Westminster form of government. Or it is also known as prime ministerial form of government. Okay. Then it is also known as cabinet form of government. Okay. So one form, that is parliamentary, named with Westminster, prime ministerial, cabinet. Okay. There are other forms of government as well, like presidential form, okay, dictatorial, authoritarian, and a monarch. But we have got the parliamentary form of government. So Constitution of India opted for the British system of the government with bicameral legislation rather than the American one, that is the presidential. So though the presidential is also having the American form of government, it is also having bicameralism. That is, they have got the two houses there as well, the Congress and the Senate. But it is different from the British parliamentary form of government, which we have adopted, okay, creating the very same bicameralism, that is the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. But the powers, functions, autonomy, authorities, they are quite different from the Congress and Senate of the America as compared to the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, or as the upper house and the lower house, or the House of Lords or the House of Commons of the Britain, right? So the Constitution establishes the parliamentary system not only at the center but also in the states. The states they do also have the simply their own legislations. Okay. Features. What are the features of the parliamentary form of government? How do I define them? Okay. So presence of the nominal and real executives. That is, we have got the two types of leaders. Okay. One is the nominal one and the other one is the real. In the terms of polity, we call nominal as de jure and the real one as de facto. So nominal leader in context of India, it is the president. That is the head of the state. De facto in context of India, it is the prime minister. Okay, so the parliamentary form of government, they are having always two forms of leaders, de facto and de jure. Okay, next, collective responsibility of the executive to the legislature. Council of Ministers, basically we are mentioning here. Membership of the ministers in the legislature. Leadership of the Prime Minister or the Chief Minister in the states. And dissolution of the lower house, that is Lok Sabha or the lower assembly after completion of the tenure. So this is what the parliamentary form of the government, the basic features they are. Okay. So we talk about the features. Even though the Indian parliamentary system is largely based on the British pattern, they have two fundamental differences. Okay, they have got some fundamental differences. What are the differences? Firstly, the Indian parliament is not sovereign like the British parliament. Sovereign as in it's not like that we have got any other country sitting over us. No. Parliament cannot take all the decisions on its own. Okay. Parliament has to take into consideration the non-parliamentary bodies as well, that is executive and judiciary. Okay. We will discuss after a short break with regard to the checks and balance. Okay. So the Indian state has an elected head, that is we have got the republic, while the British, they had got the hereditary head, that is the monarch. Okay, so this is what basically the two differences. And before proceeding into the next chapter, we need to discuss, okay, as in the particular thing that we call it as the theory of checks and balances. Okay, before proceeding all of these things, okay, we will discuss a particular theory that is the basic genesis of our subject, that is known as theory of checks and balances. Okay, but before that, theory of checks and balances, or the balance basically, also known as, okay, also known as theory of separation of powers. Theory of separation of powers. Guys, this is what the theory, if you have learnt it, you are done with the polity. अब आपको polity का टेंशन लेने की जरूरत ही नहीं पड़ेगी. If you are done with the theory of separation of powers or the theory of checks and balances, you are done with the subject of polity. Now everything will be there on the fingertip like this, just at a blip, right? So we shall be discussing the theory of checks and balances or the theory of separation of powers, but I think I need to give my voice a rest of couple of minutes. Okay, so we shall be taking a, how much time break? 10-15 minutes of the break is fine. Yes, guys? Tell me. Come on. 10-15 minutes. How much of the break we need? Okay, so what we can do? We can take not more than 15 minutes of the break. It is 2:26 right now. Okay, we shall take a break of 15 minutes maximum. Okay, we shall continue by 2:50. Okay, so we shall start the separation of powers post break. Okay, so 15 minutes break. So class resumes at 2:40 p.m. Okay, so guys, 10-15 minutes, go grab some beverage or a water or whatsoever. Okay, I'll just also go and be back. Okay guys, nutcase 5. Okay, but it's 10 minutes right now around. Okay, so see you guys in 15 minutes by 2:40 sharp. Okay, guys, welcome back. So we shall resume now. I hope you guys are now a bit refreshed. Okay, so moving ahead, continuing the particular thing as before the break, it was stated that we shall be going ahead and discuss a particular theory that is named as theory of checks and balance, right? So what is this theory all about? What is the actual genesis of the theory, the theme of the theory? So it was firstly mentioned or created by the French political philosopher Montesquieu. Okay, so it was time period of 17th, 16th century basically, when Montesquieu he wrote a book. Okay, the name of the book was The Spirit of Laws. Okay, firstly, who propounded the theory? Okay, it was the French philosopher Montesquieu. Okay. In his book, the name of the book was Spirit of Laws. Okay. In his book, what he narrated, what he stated, that the democracy, okay, will be having three organs. Democracy that has actually three organs. The classical approach to democracy, guys, remember, when you talk about the modern approach to the study of democracy, you will be having four organs. Okay, but the classical will be having three. That is legislature, executive, and judiciary. In modern, we'll have the fourth one as well, along with the three. That will be media. Okay, but the classical approaches, what they state, there are only three organs to the democracy. Okay, so the three organs according to the classical approach. Okay, and what are the need there? So the first organ, legislature. The other organ, that is executive, and the last one, that is judiciary. Okay. What is the role of legislature? To legislate, that is to make laws. What is the role of executive? To execute or to implement the laws made by legislature. What is the role of judiciary? To define and defend the law. To define and defend the law. So the three wings according to the features or the principles of the theory of checks and balance. All the three wings of democracy. Okay, it is stated that all the three wings of democracy work independent of each other and do not interfere in the matters of each other but they do check each other and balance each other. Right? So you can just note it down. I'll just step aside. Just please note it down. All the three wings of democracy, they do work independent of each other. That is, they do not interfere in the matters of each other, but they do check and balance each other. Right? So, the thing that we need to discuss. All the three wings Legislature, executive and judiciary, they are independent of each other. They won't interfere in the others' functions. Okay, literally not. But it is their responsibility or their duty to check all of the three each other and create a balance, okay, between each other. Why? Because we have got the thumb rule of democracy. Okay, we have got what? Basically the thumb rule, the basic rule as in. What is that? No organization or a person is given absolute powers. That is, the powers in democracy in a democratic state are divided and dependent on each other. Right? No person or an organization is given with absolute powers inside democracy. Each and every person's power is dependent on some other organization or a person. Like for example, Prime Minister. Most powerful, President most powerful. Can they make all decisions on their own? No. They will have to take into the consideration the cabinet, the council of ministers, the parliament basically, okay. So their powers are interrelated, interdependent on each other. They cannot rely, they cannot just take all the decisions on their own. Why? So because democracy works on absolute opposite lines of monarchy. Right? In a monarchy, there is just a king or a queen, those who can take all the decisions on their own without due consideration with anyone. Right? But democracy has been made as a remedy to monarchy. And for that, it is stated that democracy works absolutely on the opposite pages, opposite parallel lines basically, okay, of monarchy. Here, no one is entitled with absolute powers. Literally, no one. Okay, each and everyone's powers, they are dependent on some other person or some other organization. Right? So this is what the whole scenario is, okay, of the theory of checks and balance. All the three wings of democracy, legislature, executive and judiciary, they will not interfere in each other's functions, but they will have to take care that all the other, each organ will have to take care that other two organs, they are working within their prescribed boundaries, within their own parameters, within their own dimensions only, and they are not crossing the arc of their territory or their jurisdiction area. This is what basically stated as per the theory of checks and balances. Also, this is known as theory of separation of powers. Why theory of separation of powers? Because the powers, they are equally divided. Okay, judiciary has its own powers to defend and define the law. Executive will have to execute the law. Legislature will have to just make the laws. Okay, so their powers are defined, okay, fixed set of powers, fixed set of functions basically. So this is why it is termed as what? Termed as theory of checks and balance, as they check each other and balance each other, as well as the separation of powers. As the powers, they are basically divided. Who gave this theory? The name of the philosopher, he was from France. So French political philosopher Montesquieu. What was the name of the book? Spirit of Laws. That's it. Okay. So I hope everything is clear now with the theory of checks and balance. Is it all clear? Any doubts, guys? Hope so. No? Right. So now coming to the other functions. Okay. Integrated and independent judiciary. Integrated as in there is one single judiciary with different organs. Okay. There is one single judiciary with different organs. Let's say Supreme Court is there. Okay. Supreme Court is assisted in the states by the state high courts, and high courts, they are assisted by the subordinate courts into the district level, city and the district level. Okay. So metropolitan courts we have, subordinate courts we have got, okay, district courts we have got, right? So we have got upper level high court, and we have got at the top or the apex level Supreme Court, right? So there is just one single judiciary. Okay, they have got three different levels: Supreme Court, high courts, and the subordinate courts, or the districts and the sessions courts, what we call it. Okay, it is independent as in just understanding the checks and balance. Okay, it is independent, has nothing to deal with the legislative and the executive wing, and so they don't have to deal with the judiciary as well. Supreme Court stands at the top, under beneath that high courts, and lower that, okay, we have got the subordinate courts, and they implement and enforces both the laws, that is central laws as well as the state laws. Okay, next, a secular state. Who are we? What are we? Are we secular? Yes, according to the word mentioned through the 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act of 1976 in the preamble. We are secular. What type of secularism we do follow? We do follow the social positive secularism, as in we respect each and every religion. Okay, so guys, remember when we talk about the word secularism, okay, so there are two aspects or two connotations of secularism. Okay, the positive secularism, and we have got the negative secularism as well. Negative secularism says we do not accept any religion. Okay, we do not accept any religion, basically no religion. Koi sa bhi ho, no religion. Doesn't matter whatsoever the religion is. Whereas positive secularism says that we accept all religion. Whatsoever the religion or religions are, we do accept all of them. And Indian political structure, when we talk about Indian polity, we follow the scheme of what? The positive secularism. Okay, simply and simply what? The positive secularism. So Constitution of India stands for a secular state. It does not uphold any particular religion as the official religion of the Indian state. And the Indian Constitution embodies the positive concept of secularism, that is giving equal respect to all religions or protecting all religions equally. Okay, this is what the concept of Indian secularism. Next, universal adult franchise. Whatsoever religion you have, caste, community, race, creed, place of birth, sex, gender, etc. doesn't matter. If you are 18 and above, you are entitled to vote. Till 1988, okay, it was 21 years, but with the help of the 61st Constitutional Amendment Act, okay, this particular thing was changed to 18 years. Okay, next, the sources of the Indian Constitution. What are the things that we have taken? From where? From whom? Okay, so as another criticism to the Constitution is that it is not the original paper, it's not the original work, it is copied, right? But we don't take the word copied, as it's not so respectful as well. It's the synopsis of the different constitutions of this world. Okay, sources of the Indian Constitution. It is what? Synopsis. Okay. Synopsis of the different constitutions of this world. Okay. So starting with the basic sources. Okay. Here we go. The first and the foremost, which is having the highest impact or the dominating or the edge effect inside our constitution is the Government of India Act 1935. Okay. Which one? The Government of India Act 1935. As what we can see, the constitution was a byproduct of the legacy started by the Government of India Act 1935. This was the longest act passed by the British with 321 sections and 10 schedules. Okay, the act had drawn its content from 4 sources. The Government of India Act sources. What are they? The report of the Simon Commission, discussions and deliberations at the Third Roundtable Conference, the White Paper of 1933, and the reports of the Joint Select Committees. So the Government of India Act itself has got 4 sources. Okay, what are they? The Simon Commission, the White Paper, okay, the Third Roundtable Conference, and the report of the Joint Select Committees. Okay, Joint Select Committees, they are not mentioned specifically, but yeah, the 3 of them, they are mentioned. Simon Commission, White Paper 1933, Simon Commission 1928, okay, and the Third Roundtable Conference 1932. Okay, so these are all the sources of the Government of India Act 1935, and from which we have taken multiple things. Okay, like for example, the provincial diarchy, the dual government concept, okay, as well as the federation. Okay, most importantly, the act established the office of the governor. Okay, so presently the office of governor is coming from where? Coming from the Government of India Act 1935. Federal legislature, that is the council, the states, they were also provided with the this legislative wing. Okay, they were also allowed to go ahead and create their own local legislations as per the needs of the local society and geography, according to the topography and so on. Right. Next, provincial autonomy, the very same thing. The act enabled the provincial governments to be responsible only to the provincial legislatures and help them break free from external control and any sort of intrusion. Okay. Then the residuary powers were handed over to the Viceroy, and presently the residuary powers, they are handed into the Union only. Okay, and Cabinet Mission Plan, what it stated, the residuary powers will be into the hands of the states. Okay, Government of India Act, what it stated, the residuary powers will be into the hands of the Viceroy. But what scheme we followed? Residuary powers to be handed into the Union only. Okay. Next, United Kingdom. What are the things we took from England? So first and foremost, parliamentary form of government. Okay, headed by the cabinet, the Prime Minister, supported by the cabinet. Okay, and the main feature, okay, what is that? Okay, that is parliamentary form of government is the availability of one or more opposition parties that exist to keep a check on the ruling party. So that is why you can see in India we have got n number of political parties that are in opposition against the present incumbent party. Okay, incumbent party that has made the government. Okay, so UK. Next, rule of law, Article 14, equality before law. It was the British scientist itself, political scientist. His name was A.V. Dicey. Okay, who propounded the theory or the particular term or the phrase, that is the rule of law, that is law shall be supreme and no one shall be above the law, and law shall be watching everyone as equal. So this is what is mentioned in our Article 14 as well, that is equality before law, and this is also we have taken from where? The British Constitution. Second one, the single citizenship. It is also taken by the British. Okay, that is no state citizenship is there. Okay, only and only we are the citizens of India. Okay. Next, from America, what we have taken? The first and foremost thing, the Magna Carta, that is the fundamental rights. From Article 12 to 35 actually, okay, of the Indian Constitution, we have got the fundamental rights. And from where we have taken the concept of fundamental rights, United States of America. Okay. Next, judicial review. Okay, a very famous case that has happened in the year 1803. Mulberry versus Madison in America. Okay, so the name of the case is 1803 Mulberry versus Medicine. 1803, from which came out the theory of judicial review. Okay, came out what? The theory of judicial review, right? Okay, so the provision of judicial review, it has been also taken by American Constitution. Then impeachment of the president under Article 61, okay, it is also taken by the American Constitution. Okay, so next, Ireland. We have taken what? The DPSP. Okay, Directive Principles of State Policy, that is part 4. It is taken from where? Ireland. Next, Canada. The provisions of federation with a strong center. Okay, that is the tilt into the federation. We have got this one, right? A bit tilted federation. So this tilted federation is taken from where? Canada. So Article 248 of the Indian Constitution states that the Parliament has the sole power to make laws regarding any item not mentioned into the union and the state lists. Okay, this is what? Article 248, that is the residuary powers. Okay, simply speaking, what? The residuary powers. Where are they mentioned? They are mentioned under Article 248. Okay, and this is also taken from where? Canada. Okay. France, Preamble. The words from Preamble, in Preamble, that is liberty, fraternity and equality. The very famous slogan that became the symbol of the French Revolution as well, of the year 1789, right? So from there we have taken up the words in our preamble, that is liberty, fraternity and equality. Apart from that, the Republic, okay, the Indian state came to be recognized as the Republic of India, okay, in the lineage of the Constitution of France. Okay. Next, what we took from Australia. Okay, so Australia gave us the provision of interstate trade, that is mentioned in our Constitution under Articles 301 to 307. Okay, what is that? The interstate trade and commerce. And apart from that, we also received the provisions of the concurrent list and the joint sitting of both the houses of the Parliament, okay, from Australia. Okay, concurrent list as in under Article 246, joint sitting as in under Article 108 of the Parliament. They have been also taken by which country? Australia. South Africa. The election of the members, the procedure of the elections of members of the Rajya Sabha. That is, they are elected indirectly, not directly by the people, but indirectly by our representatives present in the Lok Sabha. Okay, so South Africa has given us the election procedure of the Rajya Sabha members, that is indirect elections. Germany, the first of all suspension of the fundamental rights during the national emergency. Okay, so basically the provisions of the national emergency and the suspension of the fundamental rights specifically mentioned under Article 358 and 359. They have been taken from which constitution? The Weimar or the German constitution. Okay. So guys, there are few things now that we should have been discussing today only. Okay, but unfortunately the time is not permitting us to discuss current affairs today. But for which we can discuss current affairs into the next class that we can schedule tomorrow only. Okay, everyone. So we have discussed 3 chapters today, that is the salient features, the historical background with regard to the cabinet mission and so on, as well as the sources of the Indian Constitution. We are yet to discuss some of the current affairs related to it, okay, but there is some things I need to cover as well. So time is a bit short for me today. So we shall be having another marathon class scheduling tomorrow or maybe day after tomorrow, okay, where we shall be going ahead with the current affairs related to our topic as well and the other chapters to be concluded as well. Okay guys, so I'll say we shall meet tomorrow, okay, or day after tomorrow maybe. So thank you so much guys for watching, and please do not forget to subscribe to our StudyIQ IAS English channel. And apart from that, whatever your opinion, your feedback is, let me know into the comment section. Okay, thank you so much guys for watching. See you soon. Bye bye. Good day. Take care. Jai Hind. Jai Bharat.